And we're live. Hello, everybody.
Everybody.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something.
You're good at intros,
Oh, no,
Tom.
we're not very focused. I didn't focus us. Look how blurry we are. John, you introduce the stream while I go focus us.
Hello.
Yes.
Welcome to the Media Molecule stream here at Media Molecule Towers with myself, John Beech.
And me, Tom Dent.
Tom Dent. And we have on the audio Lisa, who's got her own mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to need to spin this round.
Tom is going to focus it in, like...
Okay. And you're actually all going to get quite a close-up of John's face.
Zoom in on my face.
Right, let's have a...
Wait, no, it got
Right, there it is. Right, now, yeah, there we go. Thanks, John.
Just
Let's,
sort it out.
let's do this. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. How,
Oh, that's nice.
Sharp, yeah?
Yeah, that
Looking
looks
good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Perfect. What's on this screen down here,
Nothing,
Tom? Well,
because I forgot to put it on there.
Oh.
There's that. Let me do this. Right, hold on. There we go. Put that on there. Full screen.
It wouldn't be a MM
No, you
stream
can see
without
us.
the sort of like technical
There we
difference.
go.
Ah, that's me down there. Way, I can see what I look like. Just in case I forgot.
Right.
Back to it.
Back to it.
Let's do this.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Sorry about that. We are here today for a John Beech stream.
John Beech.
Tips and tricks and June Beech Buggy stream.
Yep.
How is everybody in the chat today? Hope you're all well. Some housekeeping. Dream's coming out on the 14th of February. Very exciting.
Wow.
Very wow. Wow.
Wow.
And that's very exciting. That's the moment that we've all been working towards.
We have.
And next Sunday is the first ever annual
Inaugural.
inaugural Impy Awards, where we shall be awarding the...
Sorry.
Nice. No, you embracing the
I gotta
mic.
get the soundboard going.
We are going to be awarding Impy Awards to creators and creations in dreams. Very exciting. We've been working for all the shortlists and all the exciting moments. I'm looking forward to it. I have started putting together my piece of clothing that you all got a preview.
Tom was
One piece of
demonstrating it to us earlier.
I think it's
part
gonna be
of
pretty
it,
good.
And I believe it actually got a round of applause from the
did.
office.
It did, didn't it?
It did.
So yeah,
Right,
no
so-
spoilers, but you know his outfit got a round of applause. So.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm hoping it's going to be popular.
Yeah.
Where the shortlists, I see you asking, Charleston, they will be announced, I think, this week on Thursday. I think we'll publish the shortlists, and there'll be categories for you guys to vote on. There's 6 categories. There's like most helpful dreamer, community star, favorite streamer, categories like that are very community focused that you'll be able to vote on yourself and decide the winners. So just keep an eye out on social media, and we'll be streaming on Thursday, so we'll obviously keep you all informed. Very exciting. It's going to be good. Going to be all fancy dress. We've got some very cool things planned.
Very cool.
In the meantime, John
I'm gonna
Beech,
put this back on my head.
Beech
properly.
Buggy, round
Beech
2.
Buggy. Let's keep going.
Shall
It's
we?
kind of like round 2 and a bit because
Oh, yeah, 'cause you did
while
the Alex
Alex was
stream.
talking,
Yeah.
like on his stream, I was in the background.
Oh, just
doing
making.
just making,
Yeah, of
carrying.
course, yeah.
But now it's going to be like this.
This is a proper
the
Beech Buggy stream.
Proper Beech Buggy. So
You going there?
without further ado, let's
Without
go into
further
it.
ado.
So I haven't done anything to it since we last left it. I haven't been like secretly away modifying it. So this is where we got to. We're trying to sort of refresh ourselves of where we are. I think I just built the suspension, or started
Whoa.
building the suspension, and it moves up
Right.
and down, and that's kind of where we got to.
Yeah.
And so today I'm thinking we're going to like build the tyre and the hub, and then we're going to perhaps, if we've got some time after that, is start doing the sort of logic for moving it up and down, and later start adding perhaps some other extra details. Once
Yeah.
we've built this one, once we're happy with it and it's all working,
Yeah.
then we can sort of chop it out of the buggy frame here, and then we can put it on the 4 corners. So then we get all 4 wheels, but we get this one working well first, and then we can move on. So let's do that. I'm gonna.
And if anyone's got any questions, do let us know.
Oh, please do. Yeah. We can always do like little diversions, you know, in the middle.
Yeah, digress. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Let's do this. So let's get the grid on. You know how I like the grid.
You do.
I
You're a
do.
grid user.
I'm a grid user.
Extraordinaire.
Apparently so.
That's what I called you on Twitter. So now you have to live up to that
someone
name.
said that earlier. Okay, so let's make the hub of the wheel.
Someone says we need a John Beech soundboard. Can you imagine?
I can make that happen.
You can make that happen. Can you make a
That's
John
one
Beech
of
them.
soundboard in dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
excellent.
need to get the sneeze in there. The
Oh, yeah.
epic John Beech sneeze.
Do you have a sneeze?
Oh, I only have 2 settings for my sneeze.
Right.
I kind of go chew, and I say the word chew after a while. I've already sneezed,
Yeah.
and I just say it by default. It's really weird. So I sound a bit like a sort of mousy cat.
Oh,
I'm like,
cute.
you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah. And then the other one I do is uncontrollable sneeze out of nowhere, and I scream. I'm like, wow! I sneeze so loud
Oh, no.
that like in my kitchen plates have fallen off.
Oh,
like,
oh
it's,
goodness!
it's ridiculous.
Oh no!
And every time I do it, people around me, and they just like they take cover. It's crazy. So I either have very quiet and cute,
Or
like a
just-
mousy cat, or incredibly loud, like a hurricane.
We have good sneezers in the office.
We
It's-
do.
Yeah.
We do.
Strong
Really good.
sneezers.
Strong sneezes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can win awards.
Right. Let's do this. So I'm going to make it over here, and I'm going to use the kaleidoscope tool, and this is going to help us make the sort of nice alloy wheel effect, you know. So I want to make sure I've only turned it on just so I can tell that I have indeed got the kaleidoscope in the right orientation, because it's orientated going up and down at the moment. So I just wanted to check that. But I don't need it on right now. What I need to do is make the outside part of the wheel. So let's get it about. We can resize it later, but that's a good guess for now, I think. And again, I'm going to do this without any reference, so this may be like the worst wheel you've ever seen in your life, but we're going to go for it. It's going to be a John Beech special. Okay, so I think
Another good John Beech special.
something like that. I'm going to add a tiny bit of soft blend to blend those outside bits like that.
Diamond Dancy says your sneeze shall be the firing sound for Utopian in Tourist number 3, which is one of her creations.
Oh, okay, great.
Amazing. Also, while John is making his wheel, thank you to Danny, Diantha, all the people that for the amazing cake
Oh my god,
that we've
Oh,
had.
wow.
that
delivered to
cake!
If you have not seen our cake, go to Twitter.
We're all afraid
Because
to
no one wants to
breathe
eat it.
around it. Even
It's
like
so lovely. Yeah, everyone's like, look at that. Is it a cake? Is it real?
yeah.
I wanted to have it here on the stream.
It's
But can you imagine? It's
the
upstairs.
risk.
Yeah, I don't want that.
High risk, high
I don't
reward.
want. Yeah, high risk, high reward. I do not want that responsibility.
no, it's a pretty.
Yeah, I'm going to put the
unbelievable
link
cake.
to the picture in the chat so people can see it. It is unbelievable.
So when you're watching, then you may have noticed that I tried grabbing the cone on the top that I'd used to do this chop out, and then when I flipped it upside down, I couldn't get it to line up on the grid. The reason is when you grab it, you rotate it from the point you grabbed, and because there's a big hole in the middle here, I can only grab the cone from the outside. So then when I rotated it around, I couldn't get it to line up very nicely. So I'm just going to use a brand new one and set the grid to one size smaller to get that right dimension. There we go. A little bit soft blend. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that's the outside part of it. Now we need the inside part. I really like our kaleidoscope tool for doing stuff like this. It's good.
To make that, it's so like super easy to.
Super easy, yeah, to get some really good complicated patterns. So look, I'm going to just overextend those just for now, because then I can cut them off and put a bit of soft blend on. It's always important to think about the sort of order that you're doing things in and where you're going to have soft blends and not. It's going to be something like that inside. So the pivot of the wheel is in here. So later when this is steering, it steers from the middle like this, you see? So that in the wheel arch, if it had a wheel arch, I'm not sure this buggy will have a wheel arch, but it might do, it steers properly. If you were steering from the outside here, the wheel sort of moves forwards and backwards a lot.
Oh yeah.
So that's why hubs and wheels are inside. So when it steers, it doesn't go as far forward because it goes forward at the back and forwards at the front equally.
Yeah.
So you get more space saving.
Otterbon asks, it might be a bit later when you're ready for a diversion.
Oh sure, yeah.
Any tips on how you'd go about making smooth, long slopes for a snowboard game, where you need to use several smaller sculpts because the collision physics kind of fail using larger sculpts?
That's really interesting. Okay, we'll go on to that later. I'm off snowboarding soon.
Yes.
Snowboarding is like my main. I
love a good snowboard.
So one day I'm totally going to make a really cool snowboard game in Dreams. It's like, in fact, one of the very first things I made in Dreams like 6 years ago
A snowball game.
was a snowball game.
Oh, cool.
And so I've always meant to go back and do one on the early access, which won't be early access for much
Won't be
longer,
early.
which
Well,
is-
yeah,
which
won't be
is
early access.
really
It'll be
exciting.
only early access for exactly a month.
There we go.
It's 14th of January today.
Wow.
Another question, John. It's not probably. It's probably just an actual like an answer question.
Oh, yeah.
From Martin Nebelong.
Oh, yes.
Our good friend Martin.
Hello, Martin.
When you clone a shape while scoped into a sculpt, how does that affect thermo? Is it only one action, or does it count as one for each clone?
Oh, it's exactly when you clone a shape, like an edit inside Sculpt. So if I clone this thing like that, that's the same as just stamping down another one because it's inside edit mode. It's just adding a new primitive, so it's no more expensive or less or more than just placing down the shape. Cloning inside Sculpture doesn't do the same memory saving that it does elsewhere.
Makes sense.
Okay, I think I'm going to go for a 5-spoked.
What if you do
alloy
it
wheel.
10 times in one action? It's
Yeah,
the same
it's
thing. Yeah, same
it's
thing.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah. I quite like. I'm not sure if this is a Beech Buggy appropriate wheel, but it's gonna.
It's custom Beech Buggy.
Yeah. So I quite like that. Maybe not so much soft blend. This is cool. It's,
Well, the patterns are amazing.
yeah, it's really fun. This is like. It's great to like play around, and you can do some sort of really sort of futuristic sci-fi wheels,
so cool.
and it depends the sort of style you're going for, but it's really nice to just play around with this. Because I'm using the grid as well as the 5-spoke, I'm just going to make sure that this one is always in line, and then if I do any work, I can use the grid on this one, and it will change the others, which is really
That's cool.
handy. And in fact, what I might even do is you can, if I turn it off, I can check the mirror. So actually, the mirror is along this way. So really, what I want to do, if I'm being smart, is do it in that direction instead,
Yeah.
so that when you do stuff on it later, you can actually do mirrored stuff on the sculpt itself.
Oh, so you can get both.
Yeah, so I've got it here, and then it means I can do like mirrored things on the actual like individual spokes, like
That's
that if I
cool.
want to. So it's cool to not only check your radial symmetry, check your basic symmetry as well, and then make sure they're simpatico in alignment. And you get some cool benefits later. So down there we go. That's what I want it. Okay. And I also like hiding the mirror. Once I know where it is, I don't need to see it anymore. It just gets in the way. Okay, let's turn off that, and let's put a hole in the middle.
A couple of questions about, can you move the mirror?
You cannot, unfortunately, move the mirror. That may be something we might be able to fix later. I know it's not because we don't want to. It's just a hard problem.
Harder to do.
Hard to do.
Yeah.
Alex or Simon, who's our graphics programmer, may have more information about that one day. It'd be really cool, basically. But at the moment, I'm afraid not. Let's do that as a negative cut instead, because then I can get a nice bit of soft blend on that. I always like soft blending everything a tiny bit when I'm making something.
Kel asks, how much to rent John for 1,000 hours?
It's lots of cake, you know.
Lots of cake. So much cake.
1,000 hours.
1,000 hours. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
That's a lot of John time.
You could get really high level on dreams with that amount of time. I like using soft blend a little bit on everything, especially if I'm doing the sort of realistic sculpt, because not everything, but like there's often a slight rounded thing just due to sort of manufacturing on everything, and it catches the light nicely and makes it look more realistic.
Okay, yeah.
Not many things are like a dead sharp super point, you know, like
Yeah.
it's very rare in fact. Okay, let's do that, and then I want to fill that in. I realise everyone might be hearing like the grid going like and mad. I'm sorry, I was waving my hand. Lisa's got
Lisa's
it.
got
That's why
this.
I'm here.
Got this.
So she's here. Thank you, Lisa. Just
You can do anything you want.
saving the day.
Is there a way to clone John? No, we've tried.
I can't do that, actually. I'm limited.
You're cloning John.
Clone Johnning.
Can't do that from a sound.
No
Yeah.
John cloning. And then add the
Settle for 2 or 3.
bolt. Put that in like that. About there, and then even get like a actual bolt in there. This is a really handy primitive for making bolts. The hex. You can just stick that in there, and it looks like you've got some
Oh, nice.
nice bolts inside there, which is cool. And then, lastly, I'm going to perhaps...
Ragnar Red Moon says, one copy of Dream should have a golden ticket, which gets you a visit from John. Can you imagine?
It just shows up.
You just, instead, when you open it, John just comes out.
I'm interested, like, who's going to pay me for these situations?
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
is this,
yeah,
is this
you're
like
not-
an
you're
MM
not-
funded
you're-
thing,
yeah,
or
you're
is
not
this,
a
you
cheap
know?
man, are you?
Yeah.
You have your day rates.
I'm really not that expensive.
No, he's not. You just sort of ask him nicely, and
don't
he'll
sell
come
yourself
across.
short, John.
There we go. Okay, so we've got the start of our wheel. I believe we've got some issues on the side here, which we can fix in a second. And I'm just going to shorten that in there back to that hub plate that I wanted. And again, you can see we've got some sort of soft blend nonsense going on in there as well. So let's sort those things out. It's really good to sort of tidy up and keep things clean as you go,
Yeah.
because tidying up later can be really hard after you've stuck down a load of edits, like especially soft blend edits. You find
Getting
it
in
hard to
there.
like select of one. So you can see I'm just flattening down that surface.
Yeah, so don't rush.
Don't have to think about it later. And then the outside here, this one's a little bit trickier, but we'll see if it works. I think if we do a cutout, because we built this cylinder on the grid in the first place, which is why it's always important if you're doing something like this to build it on the grid with your first stamps. We can actually go out like that, and we can just slice off that edge if we line it up perfectly. Let's try that one more time.
John, can you make these rims really flashy, like you'd see on like a hip hop music video?
Yeah, we can do we could
It's really
yeah.
blingy, like over the top.
Maybe some
shine,
LEDs,
like, yes.
you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do some of that.
Yes.
So
Like, why did we invite her to on the stream?
you're the best audio person around, Lisa. You know, what can I say? I'm going to go into paint, and we're going to paint these wheels nice and bling, as per Lisa's request.
How would you describe these wheels? Nice and bling.
Nice and
Yeah,
bling,
very
nice and bling.
bling. Someone just suggested putting dollar signs on the rims, which
That may be
That's
too
true.
bling.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I would be, you know.
What do you think? You're the.
I'm the in-house American, so
Yeah.
I guess it would be it would be wrong for me to disagree with that suggestion.
You could make it just like the most British thing and just have pound signs
Okay,
instead.
you should have pound signs.
Like,
Oh my god, that
tea
would be
bags,
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Quintessential British
cream tea.
icons. Cream tea on your wheels.
I mean, I would go for
I mean,
that.
if you could throw like a couple of diamonds or like any kind of gemstones in there, then
Yeah.
no problem, right?
See, this is the mirror thing I was talking about earlier. So now I can do the mirrored painting on either side of those.
Ah,
Which is
Appalooza
super
in the
handy.
YouTube chat. It's their birthday soon. They're going to be 15.
Oh,
They have no idea what to do for it though. What did I do?
Happy a birthday.
Fancy dress party is good. I
Yeah.
had a fancy dress party for
man.
my 18th. There was plenty of characters around the place.
I had a fancy dress birthday for my 30th, and we went as video game characters.
Oh yeah.
And I was a particularly good Kratos.
You were very good, Kratos. Like we've
I mean, you know.
shared that with the world
Oh,
plenty
wow.
of times.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh,
Brace
it's good.
yourself, Lisa.
I'll find it for you. Hold on. I think we tweeted it at Santa Monica on launch
we
day.
did,
of God
we
of War,
did,
didn't
and they were like, I think I was talking to Corey Barlog, the designer of God of War, yeah, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's yeah, very very nice." I was like, yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice.
That's nice. Well done, you.
There you are. Look at you.
Oh dear.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
How long ago was that?
It was nice.
My 30th. So, how old am I now?
How old are you?
Am I 36 or so? I actually
think
don't know.
You're
6 years ago.
36, right?
Yeah.
I
Am I
think
37?
I think
I don't know. I actually just can't remember how old I am. That's
Arctic
how old I
Scope
am.
is turning 33 in 3 days. Happy birthday in 3 days. Remind us on Thursday. We'll wish you happy birthday for tomorrow.
See, one thing you noticed I did then was I made it metallic. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just undo those two things I did.
Oh,
So this will make sense. So if you just have something that's metal coloured, so we get grey and we just do it like that, and so that's like your metal. You've sculpted it and you go, I'll just make it metal, and that does look metal. That's cool. but just by adding the paint that I did, where you put light on the edges, dark on the inside, it looks so much more like metal.
Whoa.
That's so cool.
So combine paint with your metal sliders down here, and you can make stuff look more metallic.
Much more metallic.
That's
much easier
That is
as well.
awesome.
Everyone's like, John was just talking about his birthday casually while doing that.
Okay, so we've got most of our thing, and now we need a tie for it. So let's check it for fit, though. Important that it fits, of course. We don't want it fouling the suspension too much. So that looks like it's going to work. But we can always tweak it a bit later. So I think maybe it needs to be one size bigger. So I'm just going to scale it up, which is cool. Which means in future when we work on this, I will set the grid to that because I want it to be bigger. Yeah, but for now we don't need to do that. So
If this ends up being like a classic old car with like bouncy suspension and like spinners and rims, I will be so happy. Just saying.
just for you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we want a tyre. So let's.
I think Ollie T asks, is this going to be drivable? I think we're going to make good logic for it.
So I'm going to do. The idea is to do all the logic for it, all the steering, make it work as a really nice beach buggy. We do loads of testing. This is going to take. This is like a 6 month.
This is a Kareem.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
I mean, what I might do is do some of it when we're not on stream, as long as you go. I mean, it's perhaps up to everyone out there if you want me to do some bits while you're not watching, so it progresses faster. If you want to see every step. Anyway, the end result, a really cool, drivable beach buggy, and can do jumps, and we'll do sound effects. We'll get like Ed in or Lisa in, and we'll like do the whole shebang, everything, start to finish. Unless people get bored, and then we can move on. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, tyre. So once again, I want the kaleidoscope to work in the right direction. So I'm going to put my first stamp in the middle there with kaleidoscope, just to set it. And then I'm going to start making the tyre. So I want cylinder, yep, big. Let's make that big. So what I'll do is I'll just put it below the thing so we can sort of gauge how much we want tyre. So I want, because it's going to be a beach buggy, I want quite a bit of tyre, quite a lot of air in there. If it's like a sports car, I'd have it more low profile, but I want it to be like one of those sort of gnarly monster truck sort of tyres.
Nice.
I think people want to see every step of the way.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. Let's turn that grid down a little bit. Okay, and like I did before, I'm going to use a triangle to slice that hole in the middle. Oh, I've got a mirror on. Silly John. Turn that mirror
Slap
off.
on the hand.
How could you do such a thing? I'm going to use this to sort of, there we go, sort of match it up with the edge, because the sort of ties, they go in under the rim.
Yes.
They're not sort of out over it. So I'm going to use it for that. I'm going to throw on some soft blend here because we want that sort of inflated tire look. Not too much soft blend. Something like that, I think. Yeah, happy with that. And because it looks like it's a little bit far, it's like not on the rim enough, I'm just going to move that whole cone upwards a little bit. There we go. Just one piece. Check. I haven't moved it sideways. No. Great. Okay. That's the side of our tyres. Now we need the sort of top outside bit. The way I'm going to do this is to use the cutout tool. Again, like we did when we were tidying up the outside of the the wheel there. Put it exactly over it, like that. And then I'm going to use the soft blend on that a little bit, not too much.
Oh, nice.
Just see what that looks like. Kind of. It hasn't quite got the effect I wanted. What I was looking for was then to sort of round it off more. Didn't quite do it. So we're going to try something else. So it's like when you're sculpting things, it's good to like try a couple of different methods. You're like, that was almost right, but not quite.
We weren't quite there.
So let's try something else. So back to stamp. I'm going to use a donut shape.
A good donut.
Taurus.
Diamond Dancy says, I did not know that you can soft blend cropping.
Oh yeah, it's
In capital letters.
It's super important for so many things. So yeah, definitely use that.
Cisco Bond says he creates things like he's cutting butter with a hot knife. Siren.
Siren. Actually, so this is a sort of happy accident here. Is I had the thing, and it originally I was intending for the top of this donut to line up with the top of the wheel here.
Yeah.
But when I put the soft blend in, it actually gives a sort of quite a natural looking bulge to the tyres.
Yeah.
If you look at a tyre profile, if you do like a cross section, it's kind of flat and then like is round like that where the air pushes against the side. They're not just like spheres, they're not just donuts. So actually I quite like that, even though that was a mistake.
A happy mistake, a good mistake.
It sort of embrace it. That's what's cool with soft blend. And then I'm going to go sideways as well like that. And in fact this would be useful to see how thick that wheel is. We can obviously shorten down the wheel later, but it'd be nice if it matches as close as possible right now. So there we go. That looks good to me. Yeah. Okay. And let's make sure that even though we went all the way in with that ring, let's go pull it out so it matches the back of that tyre. And we do the same triangle trick we just did on the front side. Now, interestingly, on this one, you can't have a mirror going this way through the middle of the tyre and then symmetry going this way. A mirror is always going to be some axis of the symmetry, which is actually makes it a bit tricky to do tyres. It means I can't just do this half and the other side does it. So you either do symmetry like this and then do all the dots by hand, or you do like all the tread by hand, but just do it twice. You know, so it's,
you couldn't like rotate the tire every time you wanted to do something on that plane.
Yeah, you know exactly. I mean, that's why when someone suggested earlier about the sort of moving the mirror plane, it'd be super awesome because later that would actually be, for stuff like this, would be super useful. So, like, keep those suggestions coming in because they are really good suggestions, and hopefully, with enough time and enough support from everyone, we'll do it.
Amen.
Sorry about all the grid sounds, everyone.
I've turned them way down.
Good.
Hopefully they're not annoying anymore.
Hopefully. Okay, so this is looking good already. Now we want to put the tread in. So this is where you kind of make it up a little bit. We've got the grid. We're going to turn on symmetry. It probably needs to go to, I'm just guessing, it's probably going to go to max to get a nice looking amount of tread. And we're going to get the cube, I think. Actually, the rounded cube might be better in this case, and we can use this to start making some. Once again, I'm going to grab it in the middle.
Oh, look at that.
And I'm going to go with this spoke here that's in line with the grid, so we keep everything consistent. And we're going to like see how this occurs. Again, I don't really know how this is going to look, but let's find out. A bit of soft blend, because tyres are quite soft and squishy, as we know. So I've stuck it down. This isn't actually what I want it to look like, but it's often good to stick one thing down first and then use the stretch tool to sort of start playing with it and going, does that look right? No, I'm not into that. Does pulling it down this way and out work? Not really. It's really good to get that first one down. And in fact, once you put one down on the grid, you can rotate off the grid but kind of be on the grid using the precise move. So I can get this one and I can just... I'm on stretch still. I need to be on move.
Gribble Granger asks, couldn't you make a separate mirror for the negatives and then bring those onto the grid?
You cannot.
You cannot.
It's a good idea, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. Okay, thinking something like that. It's looking, it's as good as it's going to get for me, I think. And then I get another one again. Nope. Get that cylinder back out, and this time I kind of perhaps want to offset it, maybe, so it's like 90 degrees, or not 90 degrees, but maybe rotate it. They often have grooves that are rotated out like this, and the reason they do that, science time, is so when it's going over water and mud and going in this direction, it pushes, because of the forces involved, it pushes out the water and mud sideways, which clears it from touch.
That's why you get sprayed when you're walking down the street.
That's why you get sprayed when you're walking down the street. Yeah. It's to stop you aquaplaning and losing control, to give you more traction, so it pushes it out sideways, which is why they're sort of...
Today we learned.
They're often in like a V shape, so one set goes out one way and one set goes out the other way.
TWL.
TWL. What's the dream stream, TWL?
I never actually verify these facts. I just like spout them and.
Well,
like,
no, and because it's you saying them, I truly
sound
believe
really-
them, and because they're
they
so
sound really
convincing. Yeah,
well-researched, like-
it's like the whole dogs
they
can't look up
sound
thing.
plausible.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe there, and then rotate and go over that way for that one, and then I'm just gonna have one down the middle, which looked kind of cool. I felt. No. Ooh, maybe. This is a sort of like play around and see what looks right until you're happy. Yeah, that kind of looks cool. It looks believable as a tyre tread, I think, without looking at any pictures. Come here, you. Why did you not?
Level 58 design says, well, I wanted to learn something today, and I learned something.
Yay!
Lewis asked, did John used to be a tyre salesman?
I did not.
Can you imagine John as a used car salesman?
Be amazing, wouldn't it?
You have to grow a mustache.
That's probably impossible for me, but
And buy like a checkered coat.
okay, cool. That is looking like a good tyre. So now we want to paint it like we did with the wheel or the hub. So let's go into paint mode over here. That's the one.
Good wheel, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, a bit like I mentioned before on, I think it was the breakfast stream, don't go all the way black and don't go all the way, because then you've got no room to move around.
Yeah.
So I often go to like a slightly, if I'm doing black, I'll actually go to just a very, very dark grey. Okay, and then we're going to do that. I mean, that looks...
that looks fine.
Black. Because if you actually go black, you think, tyres are black, and then they're not really black. That's like impossible.
That's
black,
like toy.
That's
car
like the
black.
tire before it even left the factory.
Yeah.
And it would just look more
Pringles
realistic.
Lee from Mr. Casey Jones. Wheelie good, in fact.
Really?
Wow, that looks so wheel.
Oh god.
man.
No, it has begun. And because this is going to be a off-road buggy,
Pastel.
it's going to be a bit dusty, so I'm going to add a bit of dust to it. Grab that.
Oh, it's going to have been used.
It's definitely going to be used. Yeah, we're going to be like driving around the sand dunes here. So,
How many miles does it have on it?
oh, many, at least 6, I would say. Something like that. Just doing a bit of soft blend, and then in between. So the thing with tyres is some things when they get worn, it's like stone, they get lighter on the areas where they get worn. Tyres get darker on the areas where they turn into the colour, which is the material they're made of. So with tyres specifically, you get them lighter in the grooves and darker on the outside where it's rubbed off the new metal.
Okay.
So it's really cool to look at like reference photos to find this kind of stuff out. So because of that, I now know that I can just put some bits of soft inside the grooves like this, where there's dirt has accumulated in there.
Soul off 11 says, not tired of these puns yet.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Oh.
Do you know why tyres are called tyres? More fun.
Why are tyres called tyres?
Because back in the day, when wheels were wood, sort of horse-drawn carriages and stuff, what they used to do was put a metal strap around the outside to tie the bit of wood together to stop it breaking.
Oh, and
so they were actually
literal
tyres
tyres.
because they were literally tyres.
Oh.
TWL.
TWL.
Yeah.
Hashtag TWL.
I have a question for you, John.
Oh yeah, hit me.
Why do we spell it with an I and you guys spell it with a Y?
Oh.
You know what? I have no
That's
idea
the
about
question.
that.
I have
that-
a theory, which is we just wanted to spell it
Differently,
lazily.
yeah. But then that would make less sense to do with that fact. Because if you were tying something, it would be TIE, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, it would oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the tying, like the act of tying.
It's TY.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they're both rooted in.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't know why they're spelled differently now. Huh? I guess it's probably the same reason aluminium and aluminum, it's like the same thing, it's spelled differently. Yeah.
Aluminum. Goes, and why is underwear pants? There's no. Yeah.
I've lived in the UK for 2 years. I will never get over pants and underwear. Just
Well, I
Pants
never.
are pants, underwear's
Yeah.
underwear. It's just
But it's interesting
No,
because
yeah.
you call them like pants and underpants, which actually makes sense because they're
Yeah.
the things under your pants.
Yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
call them pants and trousers.
Yeah.
You know.
rarely do we get that. Do we make have something that makes sense? Usually we don't make sense. But.
Why are they trousers?
Oh, because there's a pair of legs.
So that's why they're
Yeah,
trousers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See, it's
See, we call trousers like fancy pants.
fancy pants.
Fancy
pants.
pants.
Or trousers.
Fancy pants.
Oh, so you still do use trousers?
We use
I thought
trousers, but,
trousers was like particularly us.
No, like a suit would have a coat and trousers. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
trousers.
yeah. Now I feel weird saying trousers.
Wow.
What is this stream descended into?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just here with the distractions.
Tanaka Alloy says, "I'll never tire of treading silly joke territory."
Oh, very good.
Oh,
very
that's a good one.
So I'm just adding a bit of dust to the old wheel here.
And Sean Vertigo, the last one. Why are buildings called buildings even after they're finished being built? Damn.
Shower thoughts.
I
Yeah.
guess it's the same reason leavings are called leavings, even
Yeah.
after they've been left.
Maybe he'll know. Maybe he'll know.
Debating the English language. Perfect timing.
Would you know
You what,
why buildings are called
Look who it
buildings?
is, it's Alex!
It's Alex
I love when he
Evans!
walks in and we didn't even acknowledge him. We're just like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
I bought some Twiglets.
Yeah.
Do you want a
I'm not allergic,
microphone?
but
Do you want to
I
put a
don't
mic
want
on?
any, you've got your mic somewhere around there, Alex.
Where's the mic?
Oh, it's right behind you.
Also, wheels are slightly waxy, so I'm going to just turn on the wax a little bit. maybe
John's
like
been
15.
making a strong wheel.
I watched a bit.
Been watching.
A bit.
What do you think, Alex?
Then someone asked me an important question about coding, and I stopped.
Oh,
watching.
yeah, that's
Other way around. Wait. Yeah.
important.
Just flip.
How does
Flip your
Brittany
hands.
wear
Yeah,
it?
there you go. There you go.
Oh my god.
Like there. That's good. Looks like a good wheel. And then I'm just going to add some random...
What was the question about buildings?
why are buildings called buildings?
Even after,
After
they're
they've
done
been
being
built.
built.
Whoa.
Yeah, right?
Mind blown.
What's it, Alex? Everyone says hello.
Hello everyone.
I'm just going to draw
Hear that
in
crunch?
some... so crunchy. I'm going to draw in some
What's
like
a
marks
twiglet?
across the surface. Now, one thing...
You don't
Yes.
know what a Twiglet is?
Someone else asked.
Oh, okay.
I do now, but I didn't when
You
I
should
arrived.
just go up to the camera and be like, they're one of these.
No, I'm attached to
Yeah,
wires.
Oh,
attached.
it's fine. They're like
That's a
they're
twiglet.
like breadsticks.
Can you
with-
see that? It's like
kind of.
1080p resolution enough. You can sculpt a quick Twiglet. Don't.
No,
No.
I'm painting on the surface here, but when you paint on the surface, if you've got a sphere and it kind of works when you do it, you think, oh, that's working, you know. But if you start going fast with it, you get the dots. So if you're doing some fast strokes, use the curve tool
Yeah.
because that will always draw. And also, the
Oh.
less you hold it or the more you hold it, the thicker or thinner. So it means you can get some sort of nice artistic control to put some scratches in here.
And the way the curve tool works
It's really expensive, so
is horrifying. So yeah,
yeah.
Wait,
So,
how?
I believe it does actually turn it into dots for you. It's effectively doing exactly what you want, which is
Yeah.
it makes it into weenie dots, which is, but just the right spacing, not the rubbish spacing.
John, that tip has gone down marvellously.
Great. That's good to know. I aim to please with my useful tips.
That's quite a sort of clean tyre. Have you ever seen a tyre that clean?
I have not. No, that's why I'm adding the dirt to it as we speak, Alex.
Nice. Can you stick a little, a nail in it? Just
Because then it'll be a
Some
flat
staples.
tire, Alex. You
Yeah.
see, that's the problem.
We need it to be
Therein
working.
lies the problem.
we need deformation in dreams.
So,
PlayStation 7
You add those
edition.
little steel streaks of when it starts wearing down.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
No, don't do that. I'm sorry.
Bolter.
That's is that
John's like, yeah, good.
Yeah. No,
John's not taking any prisoners today.
That's good.
0.
We can just trash talk him the whole time.
What?
John, you are so mean.
Oh,
You're such a meanie.
I'm such a meanie.
Oh.
Could you don't tyres have
Yeah.
writing on?
What
They
would
do,
Dreams
yes.
trash talk be?
I was thinking of doing some sort of font work later. So I don't know how many people do sort of fonts in the games that are like sort of in the world, if that makes sense. That are like on signs or whatever. And the obvious thing to use is the text gadget where you set it to be in the world.
Yeah.
But the problem is obvious. But the problem is it doesn't play
Light.
well with depth of field and light
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I know.
So if you also try writing on your wheel or whatever, the flecks are often too large for you to get sort of good resolution.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking, and if someone hasn't already done it, is something along the lines of, if you get the grid and you take, this is one of the tangents we're going on, and we go to stroke, the paint tool, sorry, and we choose ruler, and we're nicely on the grid.
And you do like
we could do
righty.
some nice line writing. That's
Yeah,
what they're nice
yeah.
and fat. And you
Fat
could do some basic fonts with it, like let's do
Yeah.
like an O or whatever. And then from a distance, that's going to look really nice. You can obviously take more time in it, and you can do all your writing, and then it will just play really nicely with the depth of
lighting,
field
yeah.
and the lighting and stuff. But there will be like obviously a small expense doing it this way as opposed to doing it with the text, and it means it's harder to actually write something. So you have to place
totally.
each thing down one at a time. So
Actually, there's a request that I've had in ye days on Twitter a couple of times, and actually I've had it inside Media Molecule as well. It's been mooted. I don't think it'll happen, but it's a cute one, and it would help here. So let's just say it out loud. Having caveated it that it's never going to
happen.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
But I do think a fun thing to do in Dreams would be allow you to import images purely for reference. So you can put in the world and then you can paint over or
like tracing.
Tracing.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be. I mean, the get out of jail card is, I think, that to preserve. It isn't about bringing textures into Dreams, because I think that changes Dreams into. Obviously, some people would love that, but it would change Dreams to be more of a kind of. You'd lose some of the dreamsiness of it, and it would be a bigger deal, and you'd have other issues. But if it was just a sculpting aid, like a grid mode, that was only there while you were sculpting, and then it wasn't part of the published Dream, it was just your own personal little helper. Anyway, and the thing that actually appeals to me about that is it's a nice aid for beginners. Like people often want to sculpt to a reference or have a profile photo or have some text that they can paint over. There are lots of use cases where I feel like it would help out those of us less talented than John Beech. So yeah, it's something that has been mooted. Who knows? Maybe one day it will happen.
People are wondering what I'm doing now. I'm just making sure that this is in the middle, because when your wheels flying around, being in the middle is a key feature of many wheels. I find.
Nah, I once went clubbing with a friend, and he picked me up in his car, and every few meters we had to stop and tighten the bolts on his wheels.
No.
And
really?
We didn't have any tools, so we would just finger tighten them, and then drive a few more meters, and then it would start going glunk 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 again, and then we'd get out and tighten them again. We got there in
Just
the end.
roll up to the club the most stylish way possible.
I mean, we should have just
Less than
the
4 wheels.
Yeah.
John's like in trauma.
It upsets me on so many different levels.
I upset John the other day as well. So I tell you a fun building fact. This has nothing to do with Dreams at all.
Yeah.
John and I happened to be in London, and we were walking past a building which is called the Barbican. If you've ever been to London, you may know the Barbican. Big brutalist.
It's amazing.
Monstrosity made out of concrete. I love it. I revealed to John the fun fact that was taught to me by my kid Ziggy, who is 6. That they made all the little bumps on the concrete by whacking it with a sledge, with a what's it called, pickaxe, by hand. Every single bump manually
horrific.
bumped, and John was like, "But it's a 50-story high concrete block." And it's like, "Yep, it took them 20 years."
It upsets me, like, as a person who did that kind
That
of
is
work.
inhumane.
It's
inhumane.
inhumane.
It's
It's
actually
inhumane.
inhumane.
I was
Whoever
aghast.
Whoever designed that and ordered that.
Yeah,
is a
some
sadist,
architect
Yeah.
basically. It's a bit like, you just go, and here be bump map.
Yeah.
And little did he know, or she, that
That's some extreme greebling.
That is
extreme greebling with a pickaxe.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I think a smooth Barbican would have looked nice.
Yeah, I think it would have looked very
Yeah.
smooth.
But bumpy Barbican, it led to strikes, I believe.
That's why here.
That makes sense.
Sorry, I'm distracting you from what are you centering your wheel?
Yeah, so, and then scaling it to match the suspension. So that's too big, that's too small. So we need it somewhere in between the two.
And so what do you do when you've built it to a grid and now but you go for a nice...
I was going to go for a Power 2, but annoyingly it's
Too
the
big.
size I want is kind of like there.
Does that mess you up forever now?
No, because this jobby has its own grid. So if I ever
Yeah,
want to do
yeah,
anything on the wheel, I just we go back to that. So it doesn't matter if you change it as long as you remember.
To switch grids.
What I often do is I put reference objects in the scene. For
You did a
certain
little
things.
thing on that in the last stream that
Yeah.
gate crashed. As
So
well,
I didn't need to in this case because I just
Got
know
the
that the wheel, if I'm going to work on the wheel, is
133
work on the wheel when it goes to
metric and imperial.
So there we go. That's looking pretty mighty fine.
Yeah,
Let's bolt it together.
exciting.
This is where things start going wrong. This is where this stream is gonna, not this stream, but like all the streams going forward are gonna get like experimental. And
Right.
Gonna be like
this point.
oh, this should have worked, and this didn't work, and this didn't do.
Right,
what I
bugs.
wanted
Let's
it
get
to do.
QA on them. On
Yeah.
this is assigned bugs. We'll have a new class of bugs. Stream bugs. 73.
Stream bugs. Oh no! Please don't.
Public
They'll
shame.
love that.
Yeah, they
oh,
will.
Yeah, they will. That'll be their favourite thing. So stick it on there.
That doesn't look central.
I
does
don't
it?
think it is. So we're going to test it.
That's a wobbly. That's an
Right.
Evans style wheel.
Oop. So interesting. I couldn't spin it. I should have been able to spin it. So I mean, I kind of can, but it's also attached to the suspension, which is also roving around, which makes it harder to test. But we can fix that. So if we press play, is it going to swing down? Yes. None of our suspension is. So let's make that non-movable for now. That one. So hopefully it will sort of stay more upright, and then we've got to make the next one non-movable. In we go. Okay, and then the wheel will be loose. Yeah, it still move if I do the grabbing, but what I can now do is just turn this into a motorbolt and watch what happens.
Tentacular Moth says that their friend wrote his thesis
There
on
you
the
go, look how-
Barbican.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Well, they'll be able to verify.
All my false claims.
Yeah. Okay, so now we need to centralize this.
How'd you do that, John?
So I'm going to put the reference to the wheel,
The 133 grid.
grab it, press triangle, which recenters it to that one.
Boom.
Same as this one.
Wobble wobble.
What?
And same as that
The
one.
purple one.
So what I do is I just turn on X-ray so we can grab it. Because I was trying to grab the thing. So there we go. So it probably
Hang on, it rotated 90 degrees.
it often does, but it's fine. So there we go. So now hopefully it'll be nice and in the
Oh,
middle.
look at
There we
that.
go.
Oh my god.
Silky smooth,
Oh, so centralized.
centralized.
Wow.
Actions. That's pretty good. That's how you centralize your wheels, folks. That's wheel balancing. John's wheel balancing service available. What I'm going to do is a bit like you saw at the very
So that's
beginning.
not included in your day rate that I heard.
No, that's an extra that you got to
Okay,
got
nice.
to pay for.
True builder.
I'm just going to put the speed up on that one so we can test what it looks like. And I'm just going to put this signal generator into it so we can sort of watch it accelerate and decelerate. And in fact, you can even put it so that the max value range and the min value range, if you turn down the min value range to -1, we can actually make it go from forward speed to negative speed and watch what it looks like. See if it's...
Alex,
Okay, so
the
it's
Biv
doing-
asks, is it possible for flex to be like solid ever? Or is that solid flex? But I guess that's kind of not what the flex are for.
I mean, they could
no.
be, as in he wants opaque little rectangles. Cause
Yeah, I
just
guess.
the texture that Kareem drew. So you just have to lobby Kareem.
Yeah.
Lobby
I
away.
think Kareem has a plan / vision / desire to make fleck packs in the future.
A fleck pack.
A fleck pack.
So what I understand, Alex, and
It's like a
perhaps you know
six-pack,
this,
but-
Yeah.
is actually
That's buff.
because lots of people have asked for flex, and it seems like a really easiest, obvious thing to do. Apparently, it's actually really, really
It
hard
is
from
really
an
hard.
engine point of
Yeah,
view.
well, it's more that it's like, how do I describe it? Like when you're coding something, you either code for like users can do this, or you go, oh, we're just going to lock this down to the ones that we'll do today, sort of thing. And it's always easy to just lock it down, so it's locked down. As in, we don't have to manage memory because we always know that there's however many flex. I don't actually know the number, but there's like a table of 128 flex or whatever it is, and they're always 128. And they're always loaded from this file. Job done. Move on.
win.
But as soon as you move into like, user generated flex or Kareem extension flex or blah blah blah, then suddenly the code that was just like, yeah, I know where the flex are, man, becomes way more complicated because now you have to decide which flex are bundled with what dream, and others probably need a flex thermometer, and it just sort of spirals out of control.
course.
It's totally doable, and I know Kareem wants it, so but it's one of those things where it's something that was fixed and locked down and was a nice neat box of like there are 128 flags and that's the end is now suddenly
much more
a
complicated.
measurable thing that you have to start budgeting for, and thermos and blah,
Got ya.
blah, blah, blah.
I understand.
So it's only hard in the sense that we didn't really plan for dynamism there. But you never know. I got a question the other day on the Twitters, which is like, oh, you know the like sliders on the audio gadgets that allow you to kind of pull the nubbin apart to get randomization.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it makes me think of it is that the
on here
we've got
two
pairs of sliders. So the reason that they're different is partly just filth and partly subtleties. The audio ones actually pack 4 numbers into 4 bytes, so they're much more compact because there were so many of them in the audio slider. I wanted to pack it down, so they only represent 256 possible values, but you get 4 of them per slider. Whereas most sliders in Dreams are it's called floating points. They're the same size as 4 bytes, but you only get 1 number, but it has a much bigger range and precision. So there's a trade-off there, and most gadget writers in Media Molecule didn't want the complexity of the audio type slider, plus they didn't necessarily want that loss of precision to only 256 values. Plus, audio has a special thing, which is it has a sense of a trigger. Like, that randomization is really about choose a new value every time there's a note, every time there's a trigger. And that's not always as obvious, although there are, for some gadgets that makes sense, but for most gadgets, there isn't this sense of being triggered. I suppose you could do it each time power goes on or something. Anyway, there's no good reason why we've got a different metaphor in Signal Gadget versus sound, apart from that precision thing, and just generally, I think there was debate over whether or not the audio style range was understandable or whether it would be simpler to understand in terms of a min and a max. And I think that the explicit is always easier to understand than the packed together.
Yeah. I always wanted it a lot. Like, it'd be fun to sort of show designs one day, like our process of going through Dreams, like in the future. And I always wanted that design, and I came up with, you probably remember, lots of different versions of like how that thing breaks apart. And I know lots of Logic users out there would certainly love it. And maybe one day it's like a thing we could enable, which would be
actually on the sort of easier end. It's just, I mean, so as I say, John's drawn some beautiful designs for it. It was more just the sort of renovation aspect. It's doable. It's we should just do it at some point. I have a really rude name for those little sliders.
Oh, really?
What rating is this? A PG-12?
This is very family friendly.
So I can't say bum.
Oh,
you've said it already.
You've said bum. You can say bum.
Oh, I've already put a 1K tone in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave it out. Yeah. I've got a beep for Alex.
Because the little things get a little kind of cleft in the middle of them, so I think of them as bums.
Aww.
Affectionately. Anyway, there you go. Today you learned.
Today.
So we have a min and max on the signal generator, which is easy to understand at a glance, but the audio team would go for the stretchable bump.
Of course. So I'm now setting up the suspension, and I'm going to use a laser scope here to work out where the ground is, so we can move it up and down. So I've set the max range, or the standard range of it, to be the bottom of where the tyre goes up to, and then the fall off lower down. I actually want the suspension to go lower later, which I'll work on, but I'm just going to see if I can get the working in the first place, and then we can sort of tweak the values and stuff.
So what's your goal here? To make the suspension go
react to
properly,
some piece of ground to it. So
without physics?
Without physics, yeah. So the car is actually going to be, essentially it's a hover car, and the wheels are just like visual to look cool.
Yeah.
Which is how most cars
look.
Dreams, you don't want to sort of rely on the physics of wheels turning and stuff. You're not going to get like a very consistently controlled car. I mean, it will work, but you won't make a really high-speed race car. It just like launch yourself into the air.
And a lot of non-Dreams games do similar tricks as well. It's quite a classic, smoke and mirrors.
Of course. So with the laser scope, I've just literally plugged it into the keyframe, and I'm going to say that I want you to look for things that are visible, collidable, because I want to hit the ground. Any selected, and I'm going to mark the ground as scenery. So I only want to bump into things called scenery.
Nice.
And then I'm going to build a little bit of scenery, which which is actually just going to be a box in this case. Still on the grid though, because it might help me measure things in a bit. And I'm just going to tag that as scenery.
And now magic happens.
And then the wheel itself, I don't want to be collidable. I don't want it to accidentally be giving me false readings. So I'm just going to turn off the collision of the wheel so it's not accidentally bumping into the ground and I'm thinking it's working and it's not really working. And then get the wheel. Okay. And then I'm going to animate this going up and down. Just by turning the grid off and getting an action recorder, and I'm going to simulate.
Yeah, this is your test bed.
There we go.
Oh, look at that! Oh, that is lush.
So
Dude, I was looking at us chatting for a little while, and then you do.
So that is my suspension roughly working at the moment, and you can actually see when time's running. It's a bit there. Now,
could you put a smoother on something to make it?
Yeah. So now, interestingly, what you should do is you should make sure there's no smoothing going upwards.
Yeah.
Because it should be instant. It should respond to however fast the ground takes it.
But
But it should relax going down, which is the length of time it takes for the spring to uncompress.
How could you do that in Dreams?
How? I can just use the keyframe and I can just literally do that like that with the keyframe. So I can say like it takes half a second to go down, which might be too much. That's basically what's called the rebound rate on shock absorbers, which is like the
oh, look at that.
So that's a bit too much for me. That's
American style.
Yeah.
It's like low rider.
Low rider. So I think about half of that, so about 2 will just be enough. There we go.
A bit more European.
A bit more. There we go. So when I actually, in a second, I'm going to try and modify the suspension so it can go all the way down as well. We can work out how to do that.
Has it got any toe in that wheel, or is it quite upright?
It will have toe in a little bit as it goes up, but it's almost completely upright. So it's just so I can build things on the grid. We could rotate it later, but for now, I think that's going to be where we want it to be.
I said a car word.
You did say
toe in.
Car word.
Technically, toe in is looking at it from
else.
Is this way, looking at it from
I said the
above.
wrong car word.
It's camber, I believe.
Camber.
That one. Yeah. But I knew what you meant, Alex. So,
Thanks.
Yeah.
You were very polite about it.
Yeah. Well.
Everyone knows what camber is.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sure.
This is a beach buggy, and there's a famous beach called Camber Sands.
Oh, there is actually.
There is actually. Yeah.
Well,
that's relevant.
Right, I assume it is. What time is it? How much?
It's actually you're nearly the end.
Oh,
You've only got a few minutes.
That's
that's
good.
a place to.
Is there any questions? To
let's have a
wrap up,
quick
actually? That'd be
look.
quite good.
I'm
going to spray the buggy yellow one.
Someone asked how would it perform at speed, like at fast speed? Would the speed affect the suspension?
Yes. So this is going to be much more reliable than physics at high speed. Great, good news for everyone involved. But there is a problem, which we're going to address on a later stream, but I'll briefly talk about it, is the laser scope. By the time it sends its information, it's taken a frame for it to react, which means if I'm going very fast this way and I hit into a bump, it will kind of like go in and it will always be like a frame behind. You kind of get away with this because it's very squidgy tyres and it will kind of look right, but at very high speeds it'll start looking wrong. So what we need to do is actually animate the position of the laser scope here where it would be forward in a frame based on the speed we're going. So what I'm going to do later is get a movement sensor attached to a keyframe which is actually moving this forward. So the faster it goes, the more like you're going like 100 miles an hour and it's like over here or something, like predicting the future. There is some slight drawbacks to it, but the benefits outweigh the drawbacks in this
and
case.
I guess you could dial that in between predict the future half, so you could sort of you can have
you can even it out, and it's also for sort of going up and down and skidding left and right. So we're actually going to have like a movement sensor which says which in the 6 axis you're going in, and move that laser scope accordingly.
Very nice.
So what I might do is next time we come back, I might copy. No, actually, we'll keep working on this because it's not done yet. We've got to add the piston arm, the actual shock absorber.
At this point, would you break that wheel out into its own dream so that you could plonk it down 4 times and use the update tool, or would you not go there?
Yes, but what I will actually do first is do everything, the suspension, all the things we've just talked about. Then I'm going to probably snap it out of this frame entirely because it's attached to this frame and I want to put it onto the other bits, save it as an individual thing, put it on the 4 corners, and then I can then go and work it as an individual item to update the 4 things. So absolutely. So once I'm happy with this, that's what I would do. And of course, even once I'm happy with it, I know there'll be
more stuff.
issues. So that's why breaking out, like you say, is good.
Yeah, so if that wasn't clear, like when you use the update tool by breaking it as a separate dream, it means if you make a change to one wheel, you can then exploit the fact the update tool will happily copy that change for you to the other
Onto the
three
other
wheels,
ones, exactly.
which just saves a bit of clicky.
And what I'm going to
A good bit of clicky.
what I'm going to very quickly do is this is what I like.
Professional term.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do is when I'm building these kind of things is to give yourself like a sort of carrot to chase. So I'm just
Chase that carrot.
chase that carrot. And I did that entirely wrong because I'd used cutout tool. I didn't mean to use cutout tool. I meant to use just that one.
Such a noob, John.
Such a noob. Oh my god. How long have I been doing this for?
So embarrassing.
Bring you on these streams and
It's sort of chop that out and then I can just
Oh, I see.
like
Just to make
I can,
it look cool.
I can see what it's looking. Oh, I've got to grab all of it. Come on, John. Grab. I've
So
probably
it's been a long day.
missed chunks of it then, but it's fine. You know, it gives you the sort of idea.
The vibe, yeah.
The vibe. And then we can sort of see if we're sort of in the ballpark, basically.
Is it going to look awesome?
Is it going to look like a buggy, or is it going to look like some weird, you know?
some old
And the
rich.
answer is it's going to look
Yeah, that's
So
gonna,
Of course
cool.
It's going to look like a buggy.
I tried to
look
convince
awesome.
him to do like a classic old car with like super bouncy suspension,
Yeah.
like glammy like wheels, rims,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
spinning
Spinny
rims.
wheels,
This
yeah.
has
yeah.
not happened.
Spinning
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
spinny magic.
Yeah.
Spinny magic.
It
You've let
needs,
Lisa
it needs to
down.
look like a
Let
90s
Lisa down.
hip hop music video, or else.
No, this is something else.
Otherwise
This is
you're
like
out.
Beach Boys.
Look at the wheels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Because we copied the animation, you see, they're linked together.
But I
it's-
mean, I'm
it's
already
cool
feeling
too.
the-
Yeah,
the
I'm feeling
speed.
it. Yeah, and now it's like, I can see how the chassis is going to fit in the frame. And,
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's going to look cool. We might want to do different front wheels because front wheels on
So you
buggies
didn't
tend
have
to be
you
quite
didn't have a
thin.
wheel before today. Is that wheel? All
No,
new?
Yeah,
well.
that wheel's all new. Yeah, that was the new wheel today.
The day
so
of the wheel.
there we go. I
Right,
think that might
that's
be.
it. Yeah, well
that'll be
done.
time. Thank you for tuning in,
Nice one,
everyone.
John.
Thank you, everybody. We will be back on Thursday. Look at us, all big now. Now we're not in the corner.
Massive.
Massive. Do
Huge.
your shoes disappear? Yeah, look at that. Ooh.
Oh wow!
Put it in front of.
Transparent.
Bye, Alex.
Bye, Alex.
Bye.
Mate. Oh, nightmare.
Transparent.
We shall be back on Thursday, which will be our last stream before the Impies. We won't be streaming next week
Mucho
because
exciting.
we're decking out this room,
Oh, wow.
making it all prepared,
Wow.
making it all prepared, preparing it all for the Impies on the 26th of January. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
So yes, we'll be back on Thursday. So tune in to see a load of creations that have been happening in the Dreamverse, and have a very good week.
Enjoy your week, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.